Hey there, welcome back to another review, this time of the 2015 science fiction film Tomorrowland. Tomorrowland is a film directed by Brad Bird. It features a screenplay written by Brad Bird and Damon Lindelof, who I don't know why this guy keeps getting so many jobs writing movies, because for me personally, his screenplays are almost always a complete and utter mess. They, like Prometheus, he started asking way too many questions and he never answered them. And then with this film, it has the same problem with these questions, and then it's trying to be smart, but it's predictable. Like it's got this environmental message that's shoehorned into it. It's got these moments in it where it just refuses to answer questions because okay, that would unravel the whole idea and the whole way the film is structured, which is structured in a strange way in the first place. It's like the movie is going backwards, or it's just a jumbled up mess. I don't know why Damon Lindelof and Brad Birch decided to start the film in the future, then go to the past, then go back to, I guess, somewhat of the present. I guess then somewhere not in the future, but close to it, and then keep jumping back and forth between these timelines. It just is very confusing to the viewer, and it's very hard for the viewer to get really engaged and into the story because they have a hard time following it. Now, so that makes it very easy to be confused. I really wasn't confused that much. There were some things about it that it didn't work for me. It's just a structure I just thought was just unnecessarily complicated because it was trying to be fancy, trying to be unique, trying to be different. I get it, but it just didn't work for me. And this is a film that I was curious about because I like the concept of a science fiction Wizard of Oz. It's pretty much what this movie is. Britt Robertson plays this young teenage girl named Casey who finds this pin that has a T on it, like Tomorrowland, and whenever she touches it, it transports her into this new world, this new world of Tomorrowland, this science fiction wonderland of the future, which is a very which is something that a lot of people when in the 50s in the 40s they viewed the future as something that's great, that's something that was going to be an example of mankind at its finest, at its best, and with technological advances and with its ability to interact with other human beings and to treat them with kindness and respect. And the flashback scenes in this film with George Clooney's character when he's a young boy, with young Frank, it are really good. I think that's the moment where the film has that sense of wonder and excitement. And it's really too bad that it didn't stay there. It only went there briefly and then it went back to the somewhat present day, and it just kind of fell in a rut because it just ended up being like any other type of movie that's come out lately that has this type of plot. And she finds the pin, she's transported to the world, and then you find out, spoilers, you find out that it's not even a real place, that it's just it's a vision, it's like a hologram or something. It's not really real, or it is or it isn't. That's where the screenplay issues come in, because I don't know for sure. Was it real? But then George Clooney says, no, it wasn't real. What you saw was just a creation, and it was just a hologram or whatever, and so forth and so on. And then they actually go to the actual town later, and Tomorrowland, so I guess it was real, but only Frank went to the real Tomorrowland, and when Casey went to the fake one, and then all this crazy stuff to do with Hugh Laurie's character. Hugh Laurie was terrible in this. It was a really bad performance. It was so campy, and it wasn't even in a good way. It was just laughable. I mean, the scene near the end where he's, spoiler, gonna get killed by his own creation. He's all like, "Oh, bollocks," and I'm like, "Yeah, that sums up this movie pretty nicely." It's It's a bunch of bullocks. It's a bunch of bullocks. It's a bunch of bloody bullocks. I didn't like this movie. Was just it was disappointing. It was another below average movie that I've seen from this year. Another film that I was interested in. Another film I was somewhat curious about that just didn't work. And I think a lot of it has to do with the screenplay, and a lot of it has to do with a lot of other things. I just felt once you left the actual Tomorrowland, when you had young Frank with his jetpack and all of that, once you left that world and you went to the real world, our world, then it became some shoehorned environmental message crap. NASA's being destroyed. We're, this type of drama, melodrama that I don't give a shit about. And then you have George Clooney's character who's a bitter asshole because of what happened in Tomorrowland. And then the film just drags on this whole drama for as long as it possibly can, which is way too long, until it finally tells you that, oh, she's a robot, or you already knew that she was a robot, but Frank didn't know. I mean, until, Frank knew when she told him or whatever, and then you have this really creepy sort of scene near the end where Frank and the girl, the robot's a little girl, and there's this creepy I love you type scene. And I'm like, if she wasn't playing, if this little girl was not playing a robot, this would be as close to pedophilia as you can get. It was very uncomfortable. It was sweet, but at the same time, it was very uncomfortable. And so, and even that actress who plays the Raffery Cassidy plays Athena, an audio animatronic droid. I thought she was pretty bad for the most part. I really thought she really was not that great of an actress. And yeah, I didn't buy her kicking ass. I mean, why did you have to do that, Disney? I know it's a kids movie, but did you have to have a teenage girl try and act like she's the Terminator? I don't buy it. I do not buy it at all. So that's just me personally. Even if I saw this when I was a kid, I'd be like, bullshit. I don't buy that. I didn't buy it in Star Kid, and I sure as hell don't buy it here. So, and then you have like Tim McGraw, the country singer, plays Casey's father. Just not much really nothing to do. Keegan-Michael Key and Kathryn Hahn play these shopkeepers at this comic book like memorabilia, sci-fi memorabilia, like movie store, kind of like Things from Another World. And that's like one of the most memorable things about the movie to me was that scene, because I was just looking throughout all the store, looking at all the cool stuff. Oh look, there's R2-D2. Oh look, there's Han encased in carbonite. All these Star Wars references and all this other cool memorabilia. And then of course the whole comic shop gets blown up, which I was like, that sucked. And then you have these robots that come out and are trying to be, I guess, the film's version of the evil bad guys. But for some reason, the screenwriters decided that they need to be portrayed as these goofy nutballs for some reason. They look fucking stupid. They're all those stupid smiles on their faces, like, and it just doesn't work. I guess it's supposed to be funny, but I'm not laughing because it's giving me bad flashbacks to the robot ninjas from RoboCop 3. I don't want to be reminded of that stupid shit. Like, I don't want to be reminded of that crap. And yeah, they were a lot like those stupid robot ninjas from RoboCop 3. This isn't as bad as RoboCop 3, but that's not saying much. It really isn't at all. So, yeah, so the action, whatever is there, is pretty much forgettable. The one sequence that was kind of cool was the one scene where the robots try to get George Clooney in his home, and there's a bit of action and some cool little gadgets and some cool effects. But the problem with that scene is, I saw it already. Because when I saw Avengers Age of Ultron, Disney decided to show me that entire scene before I saw Avengers Age of Ultron. So when I saw the movie, I already saw the film's best action sequence. What were you thinking? You basically blew your load before the movie even came out. So I didn't have the same reaction to that scene because I already saw it. So I knew what was going to happen in that sequence. And so, because the whole last half of the film is this whole thing where they need to go back to the Tomorrowland, and I guess because it's this other planet or something, or this some fucking I don't, and there's like this image and this vision that they're getting that is talking about the end of the world, and then you find out like that it was just some really lame cliche, sort of cliche plot or some shit. They're like, if you believe the only reason why this is happening is because people believe that this is going to happen or whatever or some shit. I don't remember. And then you have a pretty lackluster climax, or Hugh Laurie gets crushed by his own machine. It gets blown up. Dino has a heroic death. Yeah, I can't really recommend this movie to anybody. I really can't. Even for science fiction fans, because it throws a lot of homage. It has a lot of cool science fiction elements, but it's just such a slog to sit through. It's boring. It has just terrible pacing issues. It's its characters are not really that likable for the most part. Um, I didn't mind George Clooney. I guess that's the one I could think about, George Clooney, but he came across as kind of a dick at times. The girl was okay. I guess she was all right. I didn't mind Britt Robertson. But it's just the villains were just lame. It was lame villains. This typical end of the world plot. I mean, the film would have been better off if it was just a lot more simple. The plot wasn't so complex. The film wasn't over 2 hours long. I mean, it's a film based on a part of Disneyland and Disney World. It just should not be 130 minutes. It should have been a quick fun ride through the science fiction themed world of Tomorrowland. And if you and I that's what I thought it was going to be, and it was just too long. It was too convoluted. It was too complex and it was too smart for its own. It was trying to be really smart and clever, but it really didn't work. They have an ending where, oh yeah, we stopped you, Laurie. Now we're gonna rebuild the new Tomorrowland. We're rebuild Tomorrowland, and we're gonna recruit a bunch of people. And we need creative people. We need the thinkers, the artists, the teachers. I'm just like, okay, all right, I get it. You're gonna recruit all these people to come in and help create and rebuild the Tomorrowland, and then open it to the public. All right, I get it. I understand, but I don't care. That's the thing. The script didn't really give you a reason to care for why this world should exist or why it should continue to exist. The only way the script made you care about anything about Tomorrowland related was to get back there so they could stop the end of the world, which is one of those things I'm like, oh God, really? Another end of the world type logline. Yeah, it was very disappointing. I mean, there's some good visual effects here and there, some good editing, uh, decent performances by some of the cast, but the direction by Brad Bird isn't the worst. But he doesn't have that much to work with, and I think it should have been a shorter film. I think it should have been a CG animated movie, like a Pixar film, or it should have been more like The Incredibles or The Iron Giant instead of what it was. It just kind of felt out of place. Like it was like in this in between world between a cartoon and computer animated movie and a live action film. Like there were elements in it that would have worked so much better and looked so much better in a computer animated movie, but it was restrained and held back by live action. And yeah, Brad Bird, to me, I think he's much better off directing animated movies. I was not a fan of Ghost Protocol. I know a lot of people love that movie. I'm not one of them. I think he really knows how to set up his shots and create really great animated movies like The Iron Giant and The Incredibles. But Tomorrowland and Ghost Protocol to me just didn't really do it for me. And his direction just didn't seem like it had as much pizzazz or as much impact as it did with The Incredibles or with The Iron Giant. Probably because animation, that he can do so much more with that. And that's what's disappointing about Tomorrowland in a lot of ways. it doesn't do as much with its concept as it could. You have opportunities for like tons of science fiction cameos, and I think there are a few here and there in the Tomorrowland flashbacks. But you could have had like the Rocketeer. Rocketeer's flying by, while the kid's flying on his jetpack, and the Rocketeer does a salute or something. That would have been really cool. That would have been a great way to give back to the fans of the Rocketeer and a tie-in science fiction elements, with your film. The tie-in actual past Disney movies that had science fiction elements into Tomorrowland. That would have been a really cool thing, but nope, missed opportunity there. The closest thing is maybe one of the spaceships, one of the ships that's flying around has a rudder on its head and it's kind of gold, so it kind of looks like it might be Rocketeer's helmet, but it's only, I guess it's up to interpretation. Maybe I'm just such a big Rocketeer fan that I'm just like, I'm seeing something that isn't there, but there just wasn't a lot of sense of fun or wonder or the film thought it was more interesting to showcase a horrible aftermath of what would happen when this world was destroyed and everything was shut down and it was now a ghost town for some reason, and it decided to be pretentious, and that was just a mistake. It should have been a straightforward, fun adventure through a science fiction themed world. And you could have had the prologue stuff in the beginning with young Frank, but then you could have brought it in with the new girl and her and George Clooney. They end up getting sucked into the Tomorrowland again, and you can have it so if the world isn't destroyed already, it's going to be. And Frank and the girl have to find a way to stop the Hugh Laurie from destroying and dismantling this wonderful, beautiful world. And then have, maybe they meet some other characters along the way. Maybe meet the girl, the teenage girl who's also a robot, and don't make her a main character, make her a side character. Then have these elements, and then bring in some other sidekicks as well, or characters or factions or something. Like they team up with these people who support Tomorrowland and don't want it to be shut down, and so forth and so on. But I mean, there are concepts in it that are interesting, like the idea that Tomorrowland was created in order to recruit thinkers and people who are smart and people who can use their imagination and people who are creative. But the film itself lacked that creativity. It lacked that spark. It lacked that wonderful, charm. It lacked it. It lacked it immensely. And that's a big reason why I don't care for the film and why I have no desire to ever watch the movie again. There are sequences where the world looks great, but it doesn't have a spirit behind it. Especially for the most part because it's taken away and you don't see the spirit again. And when you do see it, I guess it's not really real. Or then when you did see it before, it's in the past. And then you go into the present and it's gone. And that's it. There just wasn't enough of Tomorrowland in a movie called Tomorrowland. It spent too much time in the real world and then going back to the world of Tomorrowland when it was just shut down and was dilapidated, which is really lame in my opinion. It was a bad way to approach the film. It should have been more, like I said, more straightforward and more fun. And it really wasn't any of those things. And that was a huge detriment to the film. Anyway, I really don't know what to say about Tomorrowland, except if I was going to rate it out of 5 stars. Like I said, below average. I'm going to give it 2 out of 5. It's another one of those 2 out of 5 star flicks for me. It has some elements that work here and there, but for the most part, it just did not work. Its cons outweighed its pros. And it was just another film where a bad story and a bad screenplay and just completely unraveled the movie and in a way really hampered the potential that this film had. It's too bad. I didn't want this film to suck. I didn't want it to be a poor movie. I didn't want it to be below average. But that's what it was for me. It left me feeling very empty after it was over. And it was just, yeah, I was just wondering. It just left me scratching my head like, what the hell happened? Like, how did you mess up this concept? It's so, I thought it would be so cool. And it was the concept is so easy to do right, and you fucked up. You did too much. And that's the thing. The film tried too hard. It tried to do too many different, it tried to do too much. It's not really try too hard. That's not the best way to put it. Tomorrowland tried too much. It really did. And it should have, it tried to do too much. That's what I meant to say, not try too much. It tried to do too much. And that was one of the biggest problems I had with the movie. Just too many different plot threads going on, too many different things going on, too much stuff, and it just overlong, bloated, and it just, yeah, it was pretty disappointing in a lot of ways, a lot of aspects. Anyway, thank you for watching my review of Tomorrowland, and I will see you guys later. See ya.